Before sunrise, the waves were calm around Mischief Reef. The Filipino fishing boat, battered but reliable, drifted quietly. Juan, a fisherman from Palawan, cast his net and waited for the day's catch. Suddenly, shapes appeared on the horizon, white, metallic, and strange. He squinted, heart pounding, as loudspeakers crackled in a foreign tongue. "This is Chinese territory. Leave now!" A voice boomed across the water. Juan's hands shook. He had fished here all his life. Now, unfamiliar ships and armed men told him to go. As he turned his boat away, he saw something even more shocking. Giant cranes and gray buildings rising from the reef where only water and coral had been. The news spread fast through the fishing villages. Radios buzzed. People asked, "What is China doing at Mischief Reef?" For Juan and many others, it was the start of fear and uncertainty. They wondered if they would ever fish freely again in these bountiful waters. The South China Sea is one of the world's busiest waterways. Every year, trillions of dollars in goods pass through these waters. Oil tankers, cargo ships, and fishing boats crisscross the blue expanse. For neighbors like the Philippines and Vietnam, these waters mean food, work, and security. Mischief Reef lies near Palawan, surrounded by rich fishing grounds and energy reserves. That's why so many countries compete for every rock and sandbar. For China, building on Mischief Reef is about power in Asia. China's first moves at Mischief Reef were quiet. In 1994, Filipino fishermen noticed small Chinese shelters, wooden platforms raised above the waves. The Chinese said they were for fishermen seeking shelter from storms. At first, few paid much attention, but over the years, those simple shelters grew. By the late 1990s, more and more Chinese ships visited. They brought building materials, equipment, and, gradually, military supplies. Filipino fishermen began to see patrol boats instead of simple fishing vessels. Tension rose, but there was still hope things would not get worse. Then, around 2014, something dramatic happened. China began dredging sand and pumping it onto the reef. Satellite photos showed the coral turning into solid land. Soon, there were airstrips, large docks, radar towers, and living quarters. Mischief Reef became a fortress, one that could host warplanes and ships. For Filipino fishermen, the reef was no longer a place of safety. Chinese Coast Guard vessels chased them away. Warning shots were fired. What was once shared sea slowly became a forbidden zone. The news of China's construction hit local communities hard. Many fishermen were angry and afraid. Some, like Juan, lost much of their income. Their boats were too small to risk a confrontation, and the Chinese ships were always there, standing guard. Village leaders gathered to discuss what to do, but options were few. Protests were organized in Manila, with people waving flags and shouting for help. The government promised to protect fishermen, but its navy was small and its ships old. Many felt neglected and powerless. Some fishermen tried to return to Mischief Reef in groups, hoping safety in numbers would help. But the Chinese ships always forced them back. Others gave up fishing entirely, moving to cities to find new work. The loss was not just about money. It was about pride, tradition, and the right to live from the sea. As the years passed, frustration grew. Filipinos wondered why the world did not do more to help them. They asked, "Is our voice too small? Will anyone listen?" The Philippine government decided to fight not with warships, but with lawyers. In 2013, it brought a case against China to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The case argued that China's actions broke international law, especially the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. On July 12, 2016, the tribunal delivered its decision. It ruled in favor of the Philippines. The judges said China had no legal right to claim most of the South China Sea, and that Mischief Reef was within the Philippines' Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ. The construction on the reef was declared illegal. For a moment, hope flickered in the Philippines. Fishermen cheered. The government said justice had been done. But China rejected the ruling, calling it waste paper. Chinese ships stayed put. Their buildings on Mischief Reef only grew bigger and stronger. International law was clear, but the situation at sea did not change. The Philippines had won on paper, but lost control in reality. China's navy is one of the largest in the world. Its Coast Guard ships are huge, some as big as warships. They have modern radar, helicopters, and even water cannons. Their soldiers are well trained and always ready to act. The Philippines, in contrast, has a much smaller force. Its navy has fewer ships, most of them old and slow. Coast Guard vessels are small and often outnumbered. Filipino fishermen, like Juan, have only wooden boats and simple nets. They cannot stand up to China's steel and firepower. This imbalance shapes every encounter at sea. When disputes happen, China can quickly send many ships, while the Philippines struggles to patrol its own waters. Even if the Philippine Navy wanted to act, it would face overwhelming odds. Knowing this, many Filipino officials urge caution. They warn that direct confrontation could end badly. The risk of violence is real, and no one wants to start a conflict they cannot win. The United States and other countries watch the South China Sea with concern. The U.S. Navy sometimes sails through the area, saying it wants to keep the sea open for everyone. Australia, Japan, and Europe speak out for international law and freedom of navigation. But words and warships are not the same as permanent presence. Only China has built bases on the reefs. American ships come and go, but Chinese soldiers stay. Other countries hold military exercises, but no one else lives on Mischief Reef or controls its airstrip. There have been moments of tension, near misses, warnings, and sharp words. Yet, no one has directly challenged China's hold on Mischief Reef. The world talks, but the facts on the water remain unchanged. For the Philippines, support from allies is important, but it does not bring back control of the reef. Filipinos wonder how long they must wait for real help. The South China Sea is a patchwork of claims. China says almost the entire sea is its historic waters, marked by the so-called 9-dash line. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan all claim parts of it too. The rules are complicated, and honestly, history is often used as a weapon. These overlapping claims make it hard to find peace. Every move, every new building, every ship sent to the reefs raises anger. Accidents can happen quickly. A fishing boat bumped by a Coast Guard ship. A warning flare fired in the night. Even small events can lead to big tensions. For ordinary people, the cost is high. Fishermen are pushed away from their traditional grounds. Coast Guards are on edge. Governments watch each other with suspicion. Sometimes talks are held, but no one agrees on how to share the sea. Despite the risks, the dispute drags on. The world's attention comes and goes, but for those living at the edge of the sea, the worry never fades. Faced with giant ships and permanent bases, the Philippines has few easy choices. Direct confrontation would be dangerous. The government looks for peaceful ways, talking with China and hoping to ease tensions so fishermen can return. The Philippines also turns to international law, reminding the world of the Hague ruling. Diplomats work with other countries to build support. Some push for a stronger navy, while others believe in patient diplomacy. All agree the sea is their lifeblood, and it must not be lost. The story of Mischief Reef is one of loss, defiance, and endurance. On the surface, China's grip seems unbreakable. Its buildings rise where waves once danced. Its ships dominate the horizon. For fishermen like Juan, the future remains cloudy. But, history teaches that nothing is forever. Laws can be ignored for a time, but truth has a way of coming back. The world changes, and so do the fortunes of nations. Filipino voices, loud and proud, continue to call for what is right. In every fishing village, hope survives. Young and old remember the days when the sea was free. They dream of returning to Mischief Reef, of casting their nets without fear. The fight for the reef is not just about land or water. It is about identity, justice, and the promise of tomorrow. Though the way forward is uncertain, Filipinos do not give up. They wait, they work, and they hope. For in the tides of history, even the smallest can make a difference.